Tout de suite, l'info. L'histoire retiendra que c'est le site touristique et historique du lac Tisson, situé à une dizaine de kilomètres de la capitale du château d'eau, Ngaoundéré au Cameroun, construit par les colons allemands il y a 120 années et récemment réaménagé par l'État, qui a abrité le 2 juin 2021 la cérémonie marquant la 15e édition de la Journée mondiale du tourisme responsable avec pour thème « Tourisme sexuel, un crime sans frontières ». La cérémonie couplée à celle de l'installation du comité provisoire de gestion du dit site était présidée par le ministre d'État, ministre du Tourisme et des Loisirs, Belubouba Maïgari.
Je viens ici non seulement pour installer le comité de gestion, mais aussi pour célébrer la Journée mondiale du tourisme avec un thème bien précis que vous avez rappelé, le tourisme responsable et respectueux, qui proscrit notamment un fléau qui malheureusement tend à se développer dans le monde, le tourisme sexuel.
Le chef du département du tourisme a recommandé aux nouveaux promus de travailler en paire de famille pour booster le secteur et contribuer à l'économie locale. La région de l'Adamawa a de potentialités énormes qu'il suffit de promouvoir et de développer.
Le ministère a construit 3 grandes boukarous, chaque boukarou ayant 2 grandes salles, 2 grandes chambres, chambres doubles. Donc, pour l'instant, nous avons 6 chambres doubles. 6 chambres doubles qui peuvent donner donc 12 passagers, 12 touristes qui peuvent loger ici en même temps, à moins qu'on ajoute encore des lits supplémentaires dans chaque chambre. Sinon, la capacité pour l'instant est de 12, avec la plus grande salle, la grande salle des cérémonies.
300 millions de francs CFA ont été nécessaires pour la réhabilitation des travaux de rénovation sur ce site longtemps délaissé. Le comité de gestion qui vient d'être installé bénéficie aussi de 10 millions de francs de fonctionnement au titre du budget d'investissement public 2021.
Il faudrait que l'État mette des infrastructures. Vous voyez, pour accéder ici, c'est pas facile. Donc, si l'État peut déjà mettre des infrastructures, ceci permettrait au privé de se lancer dans le secteur. Et dès que le privé se lance dans le secteur, automatiquement, il y a un développement et l'État trouve son intérêt.
Promouvoir le tourisme interne et externe, sensibiliser, encourager et inciter les opérateurs économiques privés à investir dans le secteur sont entre autres les missions assignées aux nouveaux élus. Le Cameroun compte 900 sites réaménagés et en cours qui seront progressivement rétrocédés aux collectivités territoriales locales décentralisées dans le cadre de la politique gouvernementale de la décentralisation.
Préparer la ville de Douala à une relance économique post-Covid-19. C'est dans ce cadre qu'a eu lieu la tournée économique du chef du nouvel exécutif municipal, Bassa Diné, dans certaines entreprises de la place telles que les brasseries du Cameroun, Bocom Petroleum et Trekt Afrique. Au cours d'une conférence de presse, il s'est adressé aux hommes de médias sur le bien fondé de cette tournée. C'est lors d'une séance de questions-réponses que le maire de la ville a dévoilé un divers nombre de projets visant une meilleure attractivité de la cité capitale économique, notamment sur le transport qui devrait désengorger le carrefour Ndokoti. Un projet en cours d'étude sur financement Banque mondiale qui s'élève à environ 220 millions de dollars. Le premier magistrat municipal de la ville est revenu sur ce qui a été déjà fait, entre autres la création d'une brigade chargée des questions environnementales.
Nous avons créé une direction qui est chargée des questions d'environnement. Et une brigade a été mise sur pied il y a quelque temps. Une brigade chargée précisément des questions d'environnement. C'est une brigade d'ailleurs pour laquelle nous avons eu des exigences assez élevées en termes de profil. Mais j'avoue que l'ampleur des problèmes à Douala est énorme. Alors lorsque nous sommes interpellés, dans un coin particulier, nous avons immédiatement une brigade avec éventuellement des éléments de la police municipale pour pouvoir aller faire l'évaluation de la situation.
Bassa Diné a interpellé la presse camerounaise de ce qu'elle devrait faire une large diffusion des sanctions prévues pour tout contrevenant au bien-être environnemental.
Un arrêté du maire est sorti qui sanctionne d'un certain nombre de pénalités et d'amendes tous ceux qui participent à ces actes de pollution, y compris même, je dirais, même la pollution sonore sera sanctionné. Cet arrêté est disponible. J'aurais d'ailleurs souhaité que la presse en fasse un meilleur écho. Les entreprises qui polluent, le principe est simple, c'est pollueur-payeur. Vous polluez, vous payez. Et lorsque nous attrapons une entreprise de ce genre-là, nous appliquons sans aucune exception ce principe. Pollueur-payeur.
Monsieur le maire a déploré le fait que les efforts entrepris concernant l'électrification par énergie solaire dans la ville sont vandalisés, freinant ainsi l'effectivité du dit projet.
Prenez le boulevard de la Liberté. Il y avait un éclairage public qui avait été mis en place par énergie solaire. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Les gens ont vandalisé tous les poteaux. Les batteries ont été enlevées et ces poteaux sont là aujourd'hui. Ils ont simplement le boulevard. Nous avons voulu relancer ça récemment. L'évaluation que nous avons faite, c'était qu'il fallait au moins 100 millions. Mais nous n'étions pas sûrs qu'un mois après, on n'allait pas encore enlever toutes les batteries qui se trouvent.
La sortie du maire de la ville de Douala au travers de cette conférence de presse a été un moyen d'égrener un chapelet de projets en cours et effectifs, mais aussi de rassurer le citoyen lambda sur l'engagement de la communauté urbaine de relever l'économie de la ville.
Inauguré à grande pompe le 19 avril 2021 et rétrocédé à la ville de Ngaoundéré par le ministre des Sports et de l'Éducation physique, le professeur Narcisse Mouele Kombi, le complexe sportif Parcours Vita de Ngaoundéré n'est toujours pas fonctionnel, faute de moyens nécessaires. D'où une réunion d'urgence convoquée par le gouverneur de la région de la Damawa, Kildadi Tageke Boukar.
Opportunément, aussitôt après le passage du ministre de Sport et de l'Éducation physique, qui est venu rétrocéder le parcours Vita, qui est un don du président de la République à la communauté, à la mairie de la ville de Ngaoundéré. Nous avons pensé que aussitôt il faut engager des actions pour opérationnaliser ce parcours Vita.
La délégation régionale des sports et de l'éducation physique, les services de la santé, de la sécurité, bref, toutes les parties prenantes ont répondu présentes à cette réunion élargie aux élus locaux et aux forces vives de la région. Il n'est pas question de laisser sombrer ce précieux cadeau du chef de l'État Paul Biya dans le néant. La population doit s'en approprier. Tel est l'essentiel du message qu'a passé le numéro 1 de la région qui a remis, séance tenante, un lot de matériel au jeune directeur Nioé Eugène.
Oui, merci. Après cette réunion fort opportune, nous sommes d'abord rassurés parce que nous sommes assistés déjà par la très haute hiérarchie de la région. Nous allons, avec toutes les synergies qui viendront s'ajouter à cela, mettre en branle les activités prévues par le parcours Vita et par notre hiérarchie technique. Et vous savez, nous sommes comme un bébé.
Le patron de la région a invité toutes les forces vives de la région à faire autant pour sauver cette infrastructure sportive dont l'importance pour la population est évidente.
Nous allons mettre en place ce comité de gestion prévu par les textes, mais qui sera formalisé par le ministre des Sports et de l'Éducation physique. Nous allons également de manière interne sélectionner les membres de gestion et également les autres parties prenantes comme la sécurité.
Élever, éduquer les enfants et les préparer à la vie d'adulte. Tel est le rôle des parents dont la journée du 1er juin est dédiée. En effet, au cours de l'Assemblée générale de l'Organisation des Nations Unies du 17 septembre 2012, dans une des résolutions, la journée du 1er juin a été proclamée Journée mondiale des parents. Objectif, mettre à l'honneur ces personnes, lesquelles, si elles ont donné la vie ou pas, s'occupent de l'éducation d'une géniture. Car être parent, ce n'est pas seulement être géniteur, mais inculquer des valeurs à ceux-là qui seront des adultes responsables dans la société. Les parents sont les colonnes qui soutiennent la structure familiale, sans eux tout s'ébranle. Être parent n'est pas seulement assouvir tous les caprices d'une progéniture, mais c'est aussi le tenir par la main. C'est lui dire que le chemin emprunté ou le choix qu'on a fait est mauvais. Les parents sont ceux-là qui savent essuyer les larmes d'un gamin et lui dire que tout ira bien. À tous ceux qui remplissent tous ces critères, que vous ayez donné la vie ou pas, bonne fête.
S'engager à s'arrêter de fumer, c'est sur ce thème que se célèbre ce 31 mai 2021 la journée mondiale sans tabac, une occasion pour le ministère de la Santé, le personnel sanitaire du monde, en partenariat avec l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, d'informer et de sensibiliser les populations du monde aux effets nocifs et mortels du tabagisme.
Nous recevons tous les malades avec des affections concernant les poumons. Donc, nous avons les malades souffrant de la tuberculose, nous avons les malades ayant pris la cigarette ou encore le tabac, nous avons des asthmatiques.
Au Cameroun, la cigarette est entrée dans les mœurs et la vie quotidienne des jeunes. Les risques pour eux de tomber gravement malades du Covid-19 et d'en mourir seraient plus élevés que pour les autres.
Le tabac ou encore la cigarette aggrave l'état dans lequel nous sommes. Ça veut dire que si nous sommes asthmatiques, ça va aggraver notre asthme et il va diminuer les défenses immunitaires de notre système. S'il diminue les défenses immunitaires de notre système, ça veut dire que lorsque le Covid-19 va venir, il va encore flamber. Ça veut dire que si nous sommes tabagiques, le Covid-19 aura trouvé un terrain positif.
Le tabagisme étant la deuxième cause de décès dans le monde, avec plus de 8 millions de décès par an. Fumer serait devenu une habitude pour certains et pour d'autres une pure imitation. Des conséquences sur la santé des jeunes sont connues.
Première conséquence déjà, c'est que le tabac va entraîner une détresse respiratoire. Détresse respiratoire, ça va enflammer le système immunitaire. Donc si vous êtes asthmatique, ça va aggraver votre état d'asthmatique. Ça va également entraîner une baisse du système immunitaire. Et plus tard, ça peut entraîner un cancer et après la mort, dans des phases vraiment très graves.
Le tabac est une cause majeure de décès, de maladies et d'appauvrissement au Cameroun, d'où la nécessité de s'en prémunir, car la cigarette nuit gravement à la santé et tue à petit feu.
Né de la volonté des parents de pallier à certains besoins auxquels les établissements publics fréquentés par leur progéniture faisaient face, l'APEE, entendez, l'association des parents d'élèves et d'enseignants, n'a pas toujours fait des heureux chez ses contributeurs. Ceux-ci décriant les malversations financières très souvent observées autour de la gestion de ces fonds par les membres des bureaux des APEE avec la complicité des chefs d'établissement au mépris des mécanismes de contrôle existants. C'est au fin de renseigner chacune des parties prenantes sur sa responsabilité que le Centre de promotion des valeurs africaines a initié cet atelier de Douala.
Ça concerne les responsables des APE pour la gestion des fonds et la protection des droits des enfants. Ça concerne les journalistes pour le suivi, le contrôle et l'évaluation de cette gestion. Ça concerne la société civile aussi pour le suivi, le contrôle et la gestion des fonds de ces fonds des APE. Donc, à travers cela, nous voulons construire la démocratie participative. Le citoyen a son mot à dire.
C'était aussi l'occasion de rappeler les dispositions juridiques autour des détournements des fonds d'APEE classés comme deniers publics.
Quand vous avez déjà floué, et en fonction du montant qui est mis en cause, on peut vous traduire soit devant le juge pénal ordinaire, soit devant le tribunal criminel spécial. Sur le plan administratif, vous pouvez d'abord subir un certain nombre de sanctions au plan administratif, notamment les avertissements, blâmes, suspensions. Et sur le plan pénal, maintenant, sont des condamnations. Vous pouvez être condamné et surtout être invité à rembourser avec les amendes.
2 jours de renforcement des capacités aux allures d'éveil des consciences.
Le contenu était assez édifiant puisqu'on a vu les différents niveaux juridictionnels en matière d'appréciation de la gestion des comptes publics. On y a également appris que les fonds même de provenance privés. Une fois que c'est remis à une organisation, ça devient des fonds publics et que ces gestionnaires sont redevables.
L'appel est ici lancé pour une transparence financière des APEE, de même que la promotion et la protection des droits des enfants.
The Association of Insurance Companies in Cameroon, ASAC, has elected a new executive bureau placed under the patronage of the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Moutazi. The new executive bureau was installed this Friday, June 4, 2021, in Douala by the Minister of Finance under the watchful eyes of the littoral governor, Samuel Iva Adibois. After their installation, the new executive bureau will have as primary task to catch up with other insurance markets in Africa like that of Ivory Coast.
The main challenge for us is to see some key figures. The Ivorian insurance market is 410 billion CFA francs. The Cameroonian insurance market is 210 billion CFA francs. It means that we have a lot of work. And for that we have three pillars. The first pillar is all the insurances which are compulsory in our country. Civil liability insurance for motors, all risk construction insurance for building, and all other insurances.
Though the government through the Minister of Finance has taken upon itself to accompany ASAC in their various duties, the minister, however, called on the various insurance companies to respect their obligations vis-à-vis their clients.
Very important for our economy because there is a lot of money that can go through the insurance companies. And this is very important. And the discussion we have had, because we have had a working session before this ceremony, I had a working session with the people of ASAC, their new bureau, and we have discovered that our country is a little bit far behind.
For 2 years, Mr. Thierry Kepeden and his team will have to work hard in order to evaluate the Cameroon insurance market, which is badly heated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The city of Douala, commercial town of Cameroon, will in the days to come witness a facelift thanks to a loan convention signed between the Douala City Council and the United Bank for Africa. The loan convention signed Friday, June 4th, 2021 in Douala, worth 3.2 billion CFA francs. Funds, according to the Douala City Mayor, Roger Mbassadine, are destined to finance development projects such as road infrastructures, drainage systems, and compensate the evicted population affected by the said projects. On the occasion, the city mayor signed on the behalf of the City Council, while Jude Anele, Managing Director and CEO, signed for the Cameroon branch of the United Bank for Africa. The granting of the loan falls in line with the entity's duty of corporate social responsibility.
Douala is the commercial capital of Cameroon and is actually the heart, the business heart of Cameroon. And we believe that Douala can be made a lot better than it is today. Douala is not bad, but it can be 10, 20 times better than it is. And it will also attract more investment. We know that Cameroon is also the gateway to Central Africa. And Cameroon also contributes almost 40% of the GDP of Central Africa. And that Cameroon we are talking about is Douala.
Upon completion of the project scheduled to kick off in July 2021, Douala will be transformed into a modern city with potholes, poor drainage system being something of the past. A modern city with better living conditions, increase in economic growth is what is expected in the nearest future. Lake Tison in the Adamawa region is remembered to be the touristic and historic site built by the Germans some 120 years ago. It is on this site that activities to mark the 15th edition of the World Responsible Tourism Day, observed every June 2nd, coupled with the installation of the Provisional Management Committee, took place. On the occasion, the Minister of Tourism reminded the population and the newly installed on the economic benefits of tourism.
We are celebrating the World Tourism Day with a theme against sexual tourism. We will organize seminars to sensitize them as to keep the tourism responsible as possible.
Observed under the theme, Sex Tourism, a Crime Without Borders, the head of the tourism department recommended the newly installed to work hand in glove to boost the sector so as to contribute to local development. The region, he stressed, has enormous potentials that suffices to promote and develop. Promoting internal and external tourism, sensitizing, encouraging and stimulating private operators to invest in the sector are amongst other issues assigned to the newly elected officials.
First of all, they have to manage the site, keep it in good care, preserve it from bushfire and other deteriorations.
Cameroon has 900 ongoing refurbished sites, which will gradually be handed over to decentralized local communities within the framework of the government's decentralization policy.
$3 billion CFA francs is the voted budget at the end of this first ordinary session of the Littoral Regional Council. For 3 days, the president of the Regional Council plus executive bureau members and the regional councillors work day and night in order to come to a compromise.
It is not a big budget, 3 billion. This 3 billion are only to put in place the organization who will help us from next year to build the littoral region, to build the development of the littoral region as we want.
It should be noted that the 3 billion budget is aimed at effectively putting in place the Regional Council while waiting for the real budget for the year 2022 to be voted in November. In this slide, it is therefore in 2022 that works in the littoral region will effectively kickstart under the Regional Council. Aside the voting of the budget, many other resolutions like the putting in place of internal rules and the solicitation of FEICOM to accompany the Regional Council in its activities were taken. As this first ordinary session of the Littoral Regional Council ends this Wednesday, June 3, 2021, at the Aqua Ceremonial Hall, the month of November is expected to host the second ordinary session of the Littoral Regional Council. Healing internal wounds is the aim of this one-day conference, which took place at the conference hall of the Littoral Governor's Office. Having been a victim of violence and internal wounds, Mr. Hitima Alphonse Pacific thought of a solution to equally help others heal their internal wounds through his experience and teachings. After going through the 1994 Rwandan crisis as a victim, the latter therefore have a good mastery of his topic. For the effective materialization of his work, Rwandan-born Hitima Alphonse created the African School for Peace, which is already operational in countries like Cameroon, Chad, Togo, just to name but these.
A topic like this, spoken to the leaders of our country and even the leaders of the church and people from all walks of life, is a very special beginning for our country. Why? Because we cannot pretend that we have peace if we don't go deep into our inner wounds and seek for reconciliation.
According to Mr. Hitima, one of the treatment for internal wounds is forgiveness. When you refuse to forgive, you can't move on. In the very presence of the Littoral Governor and a host of participants, Mr. Hitima Alphonse narrated his life and the childhood during the Rwandan crisis of 1994. For the author of the book, La Guérison des Blessures Intérieures, when you are not healed from those who hurt or shock you, you will hurt and shock those who didn't hurt or do you any wrong.
The sum of 2,750 million francs CFA is the proposed budget for the Southwest Regional Assembly. Also peculiar about this pioneer budgetary session of the Southwest Regional Assembly was the examination of the standing orders of the Regional Assembly.
I know that this is our first budget session since we came into office. We have two main items on the agenda to examine, vote and adopt the budget for 2021, and is to examine, vote and adopt the standing orders of the Regional Assembly first, of the standing orders of the House of Chiefs and the standing orders of the House of the Regional Representatives.
In a speech, the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly, Zacchaeus Elango, indicated that the priority areas for the budget will be for the proper running of the Southwest Regional Assembly. As part of the budget will be used for the purchase of office equipment, the organization of seminars for regional councillors, among others, that will enable them go down to the field to better identify the needs of the Southwest population.
That according to the law, the Regional Assembly is structured as follows. The House of the Regional Representatives examine issues to be discussed in the Regional Assembly. When we finish, within 24 hours, the law compels us to forward them to the House of Chiefs. The House of Chiefs now will examine if they have observations to make or there's any rejection, they will send it back to us. If they have observations or rejections with reasons why they are rejecting the work that we've done at the level of the House of the Regional Representatives. If the disagreement persists, as the law says, the House of the Regional Representatives now will vote the deliberation, whatever issue was on the table, and forward to the President of the Regional Executive Council for execution.
Taking place in the presence of the representative of the state, Governor Bernard Okalabilai, he admonished the regional councillors to ensure that the needs of the Southwest affected population are met, while condemning any seed of disaccord existing between members of the Southwest Regional Council.
Inaugurated on April 19 by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Narcisse Mwele-Kombi, the Ngaoundéré Recreational and Sporting Facility built on a 40-hectare piece of land is yet to be accessible to the population. Lack of adequate materials being the setback of its being open to the population. An emergency meeting was recently convened by the governor of the Adamawa region with stakeholders in the sector for a quick solution.
We have deemed it necessary to have this meeting to let know that the structure is very important and we don't have time to waste by using this very important space. So we have recommended that first and foremost the space should be secure, and all the stakeholders should play their game, their petition, because it's very important that the financial budget and the financial structures should also be enacted.
The governor, at the end of the meeting, handed out some materials, after which he called on the other stakeholders to follow suit and not to relent efforts to see into it that the population of the region in the nearest future gets access to this facility.
That stakeholders like the state accountant, the police and the gendarmerie should also be informed that they should start work in that place to enable the population of Ngaoundéré to have the pleasure to enjoy this presidential gift.
It is worth noting the imposing sports facility, which is a precious gift from the head of state, is to encourage the city dwellers to exercise and leisure.
Every 1st June of the year is observed globally as World Parents' Day. Designated by the General Assembly of the United Nations in 2012, This day is established to recognize the critical role of parents in the bringing up of their children. Though the day centers around the role of parents towards children, it is equally an opportunity for the United Nations to recognize that the family has a primary responsibility for the nurturing and protection of the children. For the full and harmonious development of their personality, children should grow up in a family environment and in an atmosphere of happiness, love, and understanding.
Many parents nowadays tend to be very busy, but we need to make time to talk with the children. Let the children know us personally. Let us be the Bible that the children read every day. Let us be able to educate these children in such a way that we'll make a better country tomorrow.
Observed this year under the theme, Appreciate all parents throughout the world. This year's theme urges us to acknowledge parents' worth and affection and to value the sacrifices they make for their children.
The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6 that grow up the child in the way the child should grow, so that when the child grows, the child should not take away from it. So the child should not leave that domain. The child should grow in the way you have trained the child.
Dedicated to all parents throughout the world who work, suffer, and sacrifice for the comfort of their families. Parents Day 2021's theme also pushes us to pay tribute to parents for their valuable efforts for our existence and survival.
These are the 51 students from the Center of Community Regeneration and Development, CREAD Cameroon, graduating this Saturday after completing 3 to 9 months of intensive training. Among these graduates are 40 students from the Hairdressing and Beauty Department and 11 from the ICT Department. During the ceremony at CREAD Cameroon campus found in Bitingi Buya, Dr. Hilary Ewangide, director of the institution, who chaired the ceremony, enjoined the graduates to be ambassador of the institution as they go out to the job market.
At some point in your life, your efforts matter. The Bible says that faith without works is nothing. So it doesn't mean because you have graduated from this center and you have your certificates today that you should just grow in whatever character you think you can grow and expect success. Like they say, money does not make noise. Don't be proud. Remain humble and be Christ-focused.
While handing working equipment to some overall 7 best students, the director of CREAD Cameroon further unveiled that follow-up and mentorship will be done to ensure that these students put the items into proper use.
They have gained a lot of skills. Now we are setting up our monitoring and evaluation unit to make sure they follow them up into what they'll be doing after this. Lots of them have received gifts from the center, which to us like a seed capital. But we are going to follow this up to make sure the end point of the project is to make sure they get economically and socially empowered. So after this, it's just the first section of the training. The second section will be going to make sure they set up their different small micro enterprises, and then our office will be following them up, providing the mentorship and coaching after this.
To one of the graduates,
after leaving this place today, I'm leaving this place today, can now look for a job for myself. And I can, maybe if there is no job, I can create one by main opening documentation. So I don't know what the future holds for me out there, but I believe it's for the best.
It should be noted that since its creation in 2013, CREAD Cameroon, which is a free vocational training center found in Buya Southwest region of Cameroon, has been able to train over 3,000 students to become job creators.
The first ordinary session of the Littoral Regional Council has kick-started this Monday, May 31st, 2021. For 3 days, the President of the Regional Council and his councillors will have as principal task the voting of the budget. This budget in the days ahead will enable the Regional Council carry out the numerous projects already on its table.
There is no special priority project. All the projects are priority. You can start by the road, electricity, to supply water, the housing. We have a lot to achieve. We can do the culture, the sport, the tourism, all. We are going to do all this with with technical and financial partners, and we can start everything at the same time. Very soon we are going to be starting all the domain.
It was on the 22nd of December 2020 that the president of the regional council and his executive bureau members were voted. So far, the 3 days ongoing session at the Aqua Banquet Hall is the first of its kind, and the performance of the regional council highly depends on it. Though the president of the regional council wished to kickstart with the project at hand as soon as possible, he however expects that the budget comes from the pocket of their partners.
Gathered at the conference hall of Lycée Moliko Buea, these are secondary education pedagogues drawn from the Southwest region. The purpose of this conclave was to examine and suggest better ways of ensuring a smooth conduct of the end-of-year GCO level and A-level examinations across the various centers, as the Southwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education, Hannah Etondebua, recapitulates.
Training sessions have been held and they'll still hold in the days ahead to get all stakeholders ready for the exams. You'll notice that in most of our campuses where we have accommodation centers, the campuses are already being kept clean, the labs and all other specialized rooms are being prepared. And so we are sure that the Southwest region is ready for the exams. What we are doing today is to cut the T's and to dot the I's.
In this light, much is expected from these secondary education stakeholders as the Southwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education further bolded.
If they work with the local administrative authorities, they work with all other stakeholders, we're going to guarantee the security of our candidates, our questions and our scripts. And so we expect that collaboration, we expect vigilance, we expect alertness, and that they all should remain focused, because whether we like it or not, every examination session has its own challenges. There are not two exam sessions that are the same, and so we call on them to be very focused, to be very alert, and to communicate in the case where they need to communicate and to the right persons.
During the second secondary education sector meeting, presided at by the Southwest Governor, Bernard Okala-Bilai, he commended these head of schools for their resilience and efficiency in boosting the education sector of the region, despite the threats brought about by the insecurity still rocking some parts of the Southwest region, and which has forced many schools to close, coupled with the recent outbreak of the global health crisis. Meanwhile, anti-COVID-19 kits were handed to some principals of schools and cash prizes from the Ministry of Secondary Education and Chochi Ewumwe Monono as recognition for their hard work in taking the secondary education sector higher. Among the numerous developmental goals of Chief Pastor Oscar Teke of Wonanango Village is the desire to have a well-organized and God-fearing Council of Elders and Traditional Council who will assist him in rebuilding, reuniting and developing the Wonanango community. It was in this light that some members were installed into their post of responsibilities during this ceremony that held at the Chief Residence and presided at by the representative of the DO for Buea. Among those installed were 10 members of the Traditional Council, 6 Council of Elders, and 11 members of the Development Council.
Yeah, first I want to say I thank God so much for what has happened this day. That the Traditional Council, the Council of Elders have been installed. You know, it was a council that was operating in this village. But after the installation of the chief, we thought it wise that we should reshuffle the council, bring in new blood to see how the village will grow from strength to strength. They go into the field for us to see how by the end of this year 2021 we should be able to say we have about 50 to 100 houses here in Wonanango. That's my dream. They should go back and do what they need to do.
Chief Pastor Oscar Teke further revealed that pieces of land will be allocated to youths who trace their origin to the village, who have plans to join hands with the newly installed to develop the Wonanango community.
I would not love to see my subject out there, maybe chased because of house rent, which we have land that they can just come and put in maybe the little structure, and then they stay in their village. So I want to call on them to come. Those things that are out there is here in the village. We have the milk and honey here in our village.
The event also saw the inauguration of a well-equipped secretariat. It is worth noting that, amidst the numerous challenges plaguing the village, it has been able to realize some projects such as electricity supply, mapping out of streets as well as boundaries of the village, and a football stadium. Meanwhile, other projects on the pipeline will include the drilling of 2 boreholes, the supply of pipe-borne water, markets, schools, to cite but these few.